Good evening and welcome to Undaunted. Bringing into the news untold stories, I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Ambazonians known for making the most out of everything, ranging from trivial feats to feats in the diaspora to free homeland, they have also done so to Monday lockdowns. Lockdowns adopted as one of the civil disobedience move has now been capitalized on by the peoples of Ambazonia as a day to keep fit. Monday lockdowns now see people increasing in sporting activities as they respect the lockdown. Meanwhile, serious gunfire exchange is reportedly coming from a village with two houses already confirmed burnt down before. Well, it is yet another amazing Monday where the ghost towns are respected in all of Ambazonia. Well, we have more important stories to relate to you in the course of Undaunted tonight, and we'll bring it right after the prime headlines.
Here are the prime headlines for today. Criticized La Republic du Cameroon Transport Minister has lifted suspension on touristic express. Also tonight, why there should be a national loan from the 19th to the 22nd of May 2023. Keeping fit is becoming part of the lifestyle for Ambazonians on the home front every Monday. Also, today we're going to be looking at in Africa and Nigeria politics and money. On the foreign scene, nations buying gold in a move to end reliance on the US dollar. Now, let's get the news in detail.
Our vision in this interim government is to make ABC a leader and a real warhorse of our struggle. We want to grow it, expand it, hire and train more hands, and broadcast round the clock, around the world, and take command of the media space of this world.
You can enjoy all round the clock, 24/7 exclusive moments of bliss as an ABC Amba TV Club member. A cappella. Latest Nigerian stroke African movies, global politics, ABC Amber News and updates, historical documentaries, and lots more. In our daily programs, we have Undaunted, ABC Amber News, bringing into the news untold stories with Onyi Okpala and Star Smart. Exclusive discussion, revolutionary panel conversation, infotainment, edutainment, intro governmental debates on topical issues with Tar Paddy King, State of the Liberation Movement, Fronting IG and People of Ambazonia's Position, the Struggles Weekly Update with Secretary Martin Mungwa, PhD, Health is Wealth, Health Education and Awareness within the Ambazonian Community with Dr. Yaya, Liberation Prayer, an intercessory ministry for Ambazonia with Pastor Victor Amba. Our freedom, spiritual awareness, and education for the Ambazonian community with Pastor Victor Amba and Pastor Commando. Church and politics, neutralizing the myths and preconceived religious and political philosophies that limit the Christian involvement in the realms of decent politics with Pastor Commando. The Horizon, the voice of the Ambazonian woman with Dr. Patience Abiedo and Lady Casey. Our Amber history, bringing to limelight the hidden history of Ambazonia to the world with Pastor Commando. Appointment on community building, education on patriotism within the Ambazonian communities with Ma Rachel Itatima. Ethics for an Emerging Nation. Upcoming programs: Pigeon News, Vernacular Talk Show, County Roots, Activists Corner, Amba Focus, only on ABC Amba Television. We the people, the voice of the voiceless. For 24/7 access, subscribe as a club member on www.abcambatv.com/subscribe.
Since 2017, Monday Ghost Towns has been an all-supported and respected strategy, a unifying mark of Ambazonian of different opinions and fractions involved or actively involved in the resistance against the colonial government. At least, the Ghost Town is something that has a broad spectrum of unity and collaboration within the Ambazonian community. Impressive, you can say. The resilience that had been demonstrated for the past 6 years by the peoples of southern Cameroon is, in this regard, quite remarkable. Well, this is where we'll begin again. It's another Monday, and let's begin here today. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, very well, Ongi. Detractors to the Ambazonian fight for freedom had it that with time, the spirit of resistance in the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, in respecting the Monday ghost towns, lockdowns will die out. Shame to them as weeks and months go by and the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia are still very much willing to oust La Republic of Cameroon out of their territory. Today, Monday, May 15th, 2023, like other past Mondays, is a complete shutdown with the people of Amazonia more committed to stepping up their flexibility with sporting activities. The high involvement of Ambazonians in Monday's sporting activities is evident in the fact that La Republic du Cameroon must go and Ambazonians will stop at nothing to see this come to pass.
Well, the number in attendance or membership in Spartan Group is on the rise on Mondays in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. This is in respect of the call for Monday lockdowns. The call for Monday lockdowns of the entire Ambazonia is a call by the interim government that the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have accepted in unison. This lockdown is a move, in its simplest explanation, to frustrate La Republic to Cameroon activities and render southern Cameroon's Ambazonia ungovernable by the occupational administration of neighboring La Republic to Cameroon.
Well, Undaunted visits a sport group this morning in the town of Bamenda. From the information gathered, the turnout of members on Monday is more than any other day, as most members of the club indicated take part in sporting activities only on Mondays. A member who voted for anonymity disclosed that Monday is the best day for her in a week, a day that she has time to give her body better treatment through sports. She says, whenever I am out of town, I always make sure I come back before Monday in order not to miss the ambience of taking part in sport. This has been a part of my life that I will find it difficult to change if they have to stop this Monday goes down.
Our
Well,
vision
here is a
in
video
this
of
interim
a
government is to
sports
make ABC
workout.
a leader and a real war horse of our struggle. We want to grow it, expand it, hire and train more hands, and broadcast round the clock, around the world, and take command of the media space of this world.
You can enjoy all round the clock 24/7 exclusive moments of bliss as an ABC Amba TV Club member. A cappella,
Well, to avoid the brouhaha of the colonial republic, the Cameroon forces on this Spartan group, and as a means of this occupational regime to fight against the Monday lockdown, the name of this group is withheld as well as where they practice. Projecting into activities in the days ahead, a complete shutdown of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia is coming on May 20th in rejection of the celebration of the La République de Cameroon's National Day in Ambazonia. This lockdown will have a 100% score from Ambazonians as it is not new to them. The La République de Cameroon celebrated days are not accepted in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia.
Well, in an exclusive discussion with Top Party King, Barrister Fru Johnso explained why the 20th May is a taboo. In detail, Barrister Johnso explained that 20th May is when the La République du Cameroon assimilated the people of southern Cameroons. La République came and captured Amazonians on the 30th of September 1971, and in 1972, 20th May, they conducted a fake election called the Referendum. From that moment, they claimed that Ambazonia is a part of La République du Cameroon, forcefully taking Ambazonia in.
Well, so in essence, that day is a dark day for southern Cameroonians. While he also emphasized that it should be noted that Friday to Monday is a complete lockdown. Barrister Fu advised that those who will want to go to church on the weekend of the lockdown should do so wearing black because everyone will be mourning, and also because as a day Ambazonians were taken as slaves. He says no one should show up in any compromising place. He emphasized that our people must respect the national lockdown because it's a day of mourning for every one of us. Now, let's say the soundbite of that video.
It is the day that La Republic finally assimilated us. They came to capture us on the 30th of September 1961. And in 1972, 20th May, they conducted a fake election called a referendum, which our people are still fighting, are now talking about it, and finally claimed that we were part of them. They assimilated us into their system by walking away from the union that was envisaged by United Nations General Assembly in its paragraph 5 of 1608 resolution. So this day is a dark day for the southern Cameroons and Ambazonia. Nobody Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, of course, which is our country Sunday, it's a complete lockdown. And if you have to go to church on Sunday, that's good, but go in black. You are mourning. You are mourning for the day that you were taken as slaves. And you are still fighting to free yourself. We are still fighting for freedom. You go to church and come back home. There is nothing, no foul, nobody should show up in any kind of compromising place because the Ambazonia restoration forces are on high alert. Our people must respect the national lockdown because it's a day of mourning for us.
Well, the truth is there was no real legal union between the La Republic du Cameroon and Ambazonia. Speaking on the importance of lockdown and ghost towns, Fru emphasized that until the killings and the ill treatment of La Republic du Cameroon towards southern Cameroon's Ambazonia are stopped, the ghost towns will continue. Throwing in more light, third-party King said that sitting at home for the 4 days is not a big deal, and it's for the benefit of the people at the home front, because all of the money gotten will eventually be used as taxes and even paid to Yabunde. And so they should just sit at home and rest.
You have been pre-notified. We're going to say there'll be a lockdown. Do not defile it, especially those living in Victoria and Boya. There'll be a lockdown. Those 4 days will be dark days in Ambazonia. You do not want to be a victim of circumstance. You have been pre-notified. We're going to send out more information to sensitize you on the need. All they're requesting from you is just to stay at home. That's all. Nothing more. Just stay at home. You have nothing you're going to lose staying for those 4 days, because even the businesses that are closed are not your businesses. You're even doing businesses and you're paying tax to France. Close to 40% of whatever you're doing, you're using it to pay taxes.
All right, so you've heard it. Just stay at home. Just stay at home. Moving on. The La Republic du Cameroon government will not stop mounting the restroom of disgrace daily, 6 days after suspending the transport activities of touristic express after an accident. The ban has been lifted. The issue is not with the lifting of the suspension, it is with the colonial La Republic du Cameroon's government not accepting responsibility and doing the needful to prevent further road accidents. The reasons advanced for lifting the ban by the colonial La Republic du Cameroon Minister of Transport is that the agency has taken measures to better the working conditions of staff. Will a better condition of workers of a travel agency prevent accidents from occurring on bad roads? What has the colonial La Republic du Cameroon's government done to improve the bad roads network to prevent further road accidents?
Well, after slamming the touristic Urban Transport Agency with a 1 month suspension following the May 9th accident involving one of its buses that claimed 15 lives and got 19 injured with material damage, the Minister of Transport Jean-Ernest Masséna Ngala Bibehe on Monday, May 15, 2023, signed a release lifting the suspension. According to the press release, touristic voyage can resume its transport activities normally across the national territory. Following the firm commitment made by the company, Tourix Express SA on the immediate implementation of a series of measures aimed at optimal security for its passengers, including improving general working condition, installation of the centralized intercity transport management and monitoring system, the medical checkup of driving ability with an emphasis on visual acuity to all its drivers, the regularization of the salary situation of the personnel, as well as their affiliation to the National Social Insurance Fund, the CNPS. The Minister of Transport has decided on an exceptional basis to raise effective this Monday today the suspension of the company. Tourist expressed as therefore she is authorized to resume her activities, the press release reads.
Well, according to the Colonial Law Republic, the current minister's release, its decision to reverse the sanction is shaped by the demand for leniency by the Consumers Association of Cameroon and from citizens who raise difficulties traveling to the northern part of the country, especially as vacation is around the corner and also as May 20th is approaching.
In our African reports today, we'll take a look at a week-long running issue in Nigeria that has gotten to the tables of the World Bank. Experts have expressed concerns about Nigeria's rising debt, which currently stands at 46.25 trillion or $103.1 billion in December 2022, according to the Debt Management Office, DMO.
Well, the Debt Management Office DMO, while giving the breakdown, stated that there was an increase of over 7 trillion from what the country owed in 2021. Nigeria's debt hit 68.95 naira following the recent Senate approval for Buhari to scrutinize the 22.7 trillion naira owed to the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Let's take a deeper look at this particular situation. The Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SIRAP, has called on the World Bank to suspend any disbursement of the $800 million loan being requested by the Nigerian President Muhammad Buhari administration. The ICIR had reported that Buhari had last week submitted a letter to the Nigerian Senate requesting an approval for the loan.
The Nigerian president had in a letter stated that the money, when approved, would be used to alleviate the negative impact of fuel subsidy removal, which his government has refused to remove but left alone for the next administration. President Buhari claimed the loan facility was intended to be used to support poor Nigerians and would be disbursed to poor households across the country. He also claimed that the facility was an extension of the unconditional cash transfer being implemented by the federal government.
Well, President Muhammad Buhari claimed that the funds, when approved, will be sent to the bank accounts of the identified beneficiaries. He also said that the Federal Executive Council, FEC, had approved his request for obtaining the loan, noting that he was waiting for the approval of the Senate before going ahead with processing the loan. However, SIRAP, in a letter dated May 13, 2023, to the World Bank President David Malpass, urged the bank to seek clarification from the incoming administration on the use of the loan, as Buhari's term ends in May 2023 this month.
The syrup letter signed by its deputy director Kolawole Oludare used the bank to comply with its own articles of agreement and not sacrifice international standards in the rush to release the loan. While expressing concerns about the crippling death burden on Nigeria and its disproportionate negative impact on poor Nigerians, Syrup appealed to the World Bank not to close its eyes to the important transparency, accountability, and human rights issues related to the loan. Syrup noted the lack of transparency and accountability in the spending of the loans the federal government had obtained so far. It also highlighted Article 1 of the World Bank Articles of Agreement, which states that the bank is to assist in the reconstruction and development of member countries. The organization argued that the bank should be guided in all its decisions by the purposes stated in the Articles of Agreement.
Well, Syrup also cited Article 3, Section 4, subsection 7 of the World Bank Articles of Agreement, which states that loans made or guaranteed by the bank shall be for the purpose of a specific project of reconstruction or development. According to the organization, Article 3, Section 5b states that the bank shall make arrangements to ensure that the proceeds of any loan are used only for the purposes for which the loan was granted.
President Buhari, who on Wednesday requested the approval of the Senate to obtain an $800 million World Bank facility to finance the National Safety Net program, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Senate, Hilda Bassey, says President Muhammadu Buhari's request for approval to obtain a $800 million loan from the World Bank less than 3 weeks to the end of his tenure would be thoroughly scrutinized by senators. Mr. Ajibola spoke on the issue when he appeared on Channels Television on Sunday.
Well, President Buhari said the money will be used to support poor Nigerians, also to the worst affected by the planned removal of premium motor spirits, that is, petrol subsidy, and that the funds will be disbursed to beneficiaries through their bank accounts. As he said, many Nigerians have questioned President Muhammad Buhari's decision to obtain the loan so close to the end of his administration in the face of an unprecedented level of debt that his government has already taken Nigeria to. But speaking on his request, the Senate spokesperson said relevant committees of the Senate will contact relevant agencies in consideration of the loan request.
Mr. Jibola said the Senate committees will examine his request based on the debt sustainability requirement under the Fiscal Debt Responsibility Act, as he could not affirm whether the Senate will approve the loan request before the end of Buhari's administration.
Oh, well, let's take a look at other feats happening in Nigeria. Well, last week, the World Bank talked about so much potential in Africa. In Africa today, a new world record has just been broken by a Nigerian chef, Hilda Bassey, popularly known as Hilda Bassey. She broke the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking marathon by an individual.
Hilda launched into the competition on Thursday at exactly 4 p.m. where she put on her cooker. The chef on Monday morning smashed the 87 hours 45 minutes record set by now former Guinness World Record holder Lata Todon. Hilda carried on despite having broken the record as she claims or aims to cook for 100 hours, setting a new world record as the first human on earth to spend such an amount of time cooking.
The chef continued to receive a wave of support from government officials, celebrities, clerics, and other well-meaning Nigerians. This is even as Nigerians stood by her despite a heavy downpour in the wee hours of today, Monday. Here's a video of her when the world thought she would give up and how she successfully pulled through.
Well, Hilda Bassey hoped to reach a 100-hour-long cooking time to beat the previous record of 87 hours and 45 minutes non-stop, won by Lata Tondon, a chef from Rewa, Madhya Pradesh, India. In the early hours of today, after Hilda Bassey beat the world record of the longest cooking time, concerns were raised on the internet regarding why the Guinness World Record has not said anything about it yet. And in a tweet, the World Guinness Record replied, "We are aware of this amazing record attempt. We need to review all the evidence first before officially confirming a record."
Nigerians have been so eager to see her win this world record from the moment she set out on it on Thursday. We'll take a quick look now at Hilda Bassey. Who is she really? Hilda Bassey, popularly known as Hilda Bassey, is a Nigerian chef and YouTube content creator, a TV producer, and foodpreneur. She hails from Akwa Ibom State, southeastern Nigeria. Hilda started her career as a chef in 2020, and today she has built a name for herself and a brand. Switzerland. She has a degree in sociology from Madonna University and is currently the chef head and CEO of My Food by Hilda, with several locations and branches all over the nation, Nigeria. And adding to these is her great feat from today. Now, all we do is await the World Guinness Records official recognition. Indeed, the potential in Africa is vast.
As the BRICS summit draws closer, countries around the world are coordinating with each other and finding new ways to avoid the US dollars. Countries around the world have embarked on an irreversible agenda to divorce from the US dollar. Last week, about 24 countries showed interest. This week, we are having 41 countries. By the end of July, analysts say we may have about 60 more countries. Regardless of the controversies of the dollar being the exchange currency of most countries, there is still a lot to be afraid of. That is for those who are investing in dollar. The question is, will the dollar survive this whole process?
While a handful of countries around the world are buying massive amounts of gold to end reliance on the US dollar, several nations are coordinating with each other and finding new ways to settle transactions without paying with the US dollar. Saudi Arabia and China are directly talking and determining whether to settle cross border payments with their native currency. China has convinced many nations to pay with the Chinese yuan instead of the US dollar. A growing number of countries are showing interest to join the BRICS alliance and accept the new currency. Could soon become BRICS Plus, as the South African ambassador Anil Sukla hinted that the alliance could expand this year.
Besides China and Russia, which are both part of the BRICS coalition, the Family Office Guru says that 41 other countries are now following suit, perhaps concerned with the way the US has treated Russia during its conflict with Ukraine. The decision to allow other countries to join the bloc could be taken at the next summit in August in South Africa. Scholar confirmed that more than a dozen countries have formally and informally applied to join BRICS. Now, the alliance could become stronger after expansion as their GDPs could raise ahead of the US and other Western powers. This could put the dollar and the euro on the back foot as developing nations might end reliance on the USD. Therefore, BRICS stands in a better position to usher in a new global financial order than at any other time. According to the latest report, 41 countries are ready to join BRICS and accept the new currency for international trade. The countries that have shown interest to join the BRICS alliance are Afghanistan, Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belarus, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Sudan, Syria, the United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe.
Well, BRICS originally comprises of five countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS. BRICS, therefore, a total of 41 countries are now participating to dethrone the US dollar from its global reserve status. If this many countries ditch the dollar and begin cross border transactions with a new currency, the US dollar could be hit. The dollar could weaken on a global scale and find no means to fund its deficit. The soon to be released BRICS currency could have the power to eliminate the dollar's dominance internationally. The countries that are interested to join BRICS are also oil rich nations. Therefore, the alliance could force European countries to pay with a new currency for oil and not the dollar.
All right. And right after the break, we'll bring you the editorial.
editorial on this very special day for ABC Amba TV, we'll take a very in-depth look on all that concerns a referendum with this title, Referendum Debate Laid to Rest by Marcus F. Abendon. Referenda and plebiscites are all sampling mechanisms for people's opinions, but are not all applied in the same context or scenario. They very much look like the same in meaning and representation until very well explained. This paper should lay the referendum debate to rest. Marcus F. Abendung exposes Cooper's intentions and elaborates on the subject in great details, makes profound suggestions on how, if at all, such a referendum will be conducted and by who. It is a little on the long side, but it is achievable. External Self-Determination Through Referendum, the case of Ambazonia by Marcus F. Abendung, diving into it, starting with the citation 1. Sometimes an idea is esteemed to be wrong or seen to be wrong by who says it. Skepticism is justified if, in the case at hand, the Yaoundé junta that has refused to go to the negotiation table, even to its own initiated Canadian table, suggests a referendum to decide the fate of the Southern Cameroons. The same applies if the suggestion comes from individuals within the Southern Cameroon struggle who have been seen and known to be opposed to the cause or whose actions and motives have been determined over the course of time to be suspicious and doubtful. The latter in the case in point, the question that skeptics will ask is, what are they up to this time around? The second citation, it seems to the writer and Her Majesty's government so desperately wanted to deprive the Southern Cameroons of independence that it laid and hatched multiple schemes to block the territory from acceding to autonomy and self-government. Having successfully blocked the independence planned for all colonies and trust territories, the United Kingdom imposed her own contraption, independence, by joining. Even here, the United Kingdom so badly wanted the Southern Cameroons to remain as part of Nigeria. It seemed that she abandoned all her post-plebiscite responsibilities towards the former. What befell the Southern Cameroons then in 1961 was evil, well orchestrated and executed by Her Majesty's government. Number 10 Downing Street was so bent on punishing the Southern Cameroons, it disregarded warnings and counsel from Parliament and its own representation in the territory. The UK's preference for a plebiscite instead of a referendum was probably part of the plan. Plebiscites are only consultative and do not have the power of law even at the United Nations. Is that why the UK was able to dodge her responsibility without anyone raising a finger? The evil that visited the Southern Cameroons in 1961 is more outrageous because it was executed exactly 1 month after a similar experience between Eritrea and Ethiopia. After a similar experience between Eritrea and Ethiopia had collapsed following the annexation of the weaker partner by the stronger on September 1st, 1961. How could the international community have gone ahead with the unification plan between the Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon after the East Africa experience had just failed? The UK, it seemed, was so angry with the Southern Cameroon's preference for La République du Cameroon that Her Majesty's government cut all trade with the territory after the plebiscite, without any provocation or justification. Now, into the introduction, the writer says he has followed the ongoing debate on whether or not Ambazonians should submit itself to a referendum or a plebiscite or none. It appears that the merit of those opposed to a referendum is rooted in the new of the referendum suggestion. The writer says new because we have always known that a referendum could be used to decide the future of the Southern Cameroons. In fact, this has been discussed in several SCNC and other think tanks over the years. However, we have always held the position that Southern Cameroons does not need a referendum to decide her fate because that fate was already decided by the UN Charter, the Trusteeship Agreement, and other UN resolutions, and especially by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 1608, granting the territory independence pursuant of the April 1961 UNGA vote. International law and the merits and facts of the matter are overwhelmingly in favor of direct UN recognition of Southern Cameroon's statehood, and so it is expected that the United Nations should autocorrect the mess it created in 1961. This position is held under the assumption that diplomacy is an honest game managed by absolute principles and executed by disinterested men. This assumption is not always a verifiable truth. In fact, it is fallacious. The United Nations is highly influenced by geopolitics, multilateral and corporate interest, to the extent that genuine causes only get to the UN's attention after a huge price has been paid. The United Nations has at its disposal certain tools, its charter, treaties, conventions, and precedences for the purpose of intellectualism and fairness. But then the writer does not address the subject as an Ambazonian, but as an observer of the situation, one well informed about the Cameroonian context and a curious researcher into the trappings of international relations. The writer goes on, if, however, in the course of this reflection, my frustrations and emotions are betrayed, bear with me. I am an Ambazonian first and foremost, must be troubled by the suffering of my people, and I feel betrayed by the international community. This reflection intends to prove that the international system is not a constant, that it does not respect its own laws and prescriptions, and that it is not in the power of people seeking justice to predetermine the channel through which what they seek should be provided. If that were the case, the present conflict in the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia would not have arisen because the United Nations would have rectified the mess it created decades ago on its own volition. We intend to portray with reasonable clarity that referendums are a credible and potent tool in the hands of sovereign nations and the UN to decide issues of external self-determination. To sustain this position, we shall briefly understudy the Quebecois, Scottish, Eritrean, and East Timorese independence referendums. We shall end by drawing lessons to apply in the case where international legal logic is defied, trampled underfoot, as is always the case, and the Southern Cameroons is subjected to a referendum. Definition of terms: the Oxford Dictionary defines referendum as follows: a general vote by the electorate on a single political question that has been referred to them for a direct decision. Oxford defined plebiscites as a direct vote of all members of an electorate on an important public question. Oxford Online. Referendum versus plebiscite. As seen above the two definitions, the two terms are synonymous and are often used interchangeably in today's modern English and in the media, including the BBC. However, synonyms have slight differences and are not always interchangeable. The outcome of a referendum is binding on the government or governments, whereas a plebiscite is a consultative exercise whose outcome might be set aside. Why conduct a plebiscite then if the government will not execute the will of the people? Sometimes governments consult the people to get their opinions to better orientate their actions. Though the outcome of a plebiscite vote might not be executed, the government of the day will not do the contrary. The Southern Cameroon's 1961 11 February plebiscite did not compel the territory to unite with La République du Cameroon. The UNGA Resolution 1608 prescribed conditions that needed to be met before unification could be implemented. If the Anga Resolution 1608 was respected and Southern Cameroons not simply invaded and annexed on September 30th, 1961, the possibility that unification would not have happened was great because La République du Cameroon had no intention to enter into a federation with the Southern Cameroons. Now that we agree that a plebiscite is consultative and that it does not have the power of an act of law, the writer fears that if one is conducted to determine the fate of the territory today, the outcome thereof will not obligate La République du Cameroon to withdraw from the territory. Now, this is by Marcus F. Abendong. With this, we've come to the end of this very extensive article from Marcus F. Abendong and the end of our editorial for today. I hope you learned a lot from this. As always, find out payment details on your screen. I am Sir Smart, reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba TV.
All right. And with that editorial, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, let's take a look at our major highlights.
In tonight's Undaunted, Larry Public Cameroon Transport Minister is criticized as he lifts suspensions on touristic express. And also we brought to you why there should be a national lockdown from 19th through 22nd of this month, May 2023. Keep fit participation on the rise on Mondays in the whole of Ambazonia.
Well, tonight in the African scene, we talked about Nigeria politics and money. And on the forest scene, we told you that nations are buying gold in a move to end reliance on the US dollars. And that was it for tonight on Undaunted, bringing to the news on George Stories. On behalf of Michael and Costa Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.